Now you see price was making the ABCD waves to the downside. And then we got this nice deep reversal here. And price took out your A boundary. So when price takes out the A, what we do is we change the direction of the fib. We went from the bottom, or the downside in this situation, to the top. It's been an interesting couple of weeks in the market. Tons of things happening. We didn't put out a video last week because we knew that there'd be a ton going on with your banks starting to feel the squeeze of the interest rate hikes, the Fed decision, and the banking crisis that we are starting to see and feel around the world. So I want to come to you guys today, do a markup on a pound dollar. We'll take a look at where the dollar is, the dollar index, and then we'll break down. We'll do a multi-time frame analysis on the pound dollar. Take a look at what opportunities are present in the short term and what we could potentially be looking at for a long-term perspective. Now on the DXY, right, the dollar index. So on the dollar index, we want to look to see what price is doing, right? And I'm just going to come into the four. Not going to do a full markup on the dollar index, but what we have here, I will zoom out. We're watching, right, with the inner circle members. We're watching a potential a potential crown development here on the dollar index, right? What we want to see though is, does price stay below this level of 12,864? If price in this risk off environment breaks back above this daily level here and then comes back and retests that daily level, we could be in for price to come higher and give us a deeper retracement here. So when the market opens on Sunday and into Monday, we'll see if we get a break back above this level. What we could see is a small push down, right? And then price to push up and start making this move. If we get that and we get a break of this level, right, we will look for movement to the upside. Okay. So that's where we are on the dollar index. All right. So we are looking at the pound dollar. We're going to do a multi-time frame analysis on the pound dollar. We haven't done this a lot recently. Got feedback from our subscribers. I like the short ideas so that you can just take a look, see what it is, and keep it moving. But also want us to really understand how to do this top-down analysis thing, so that we can really, really, really start to hone this craft and really be able to make some progress as we grow in the skill set. So start on the monthly time frame, get a bird's eye view of what's happening. And what I do is I mark out my extreme highs and my extreme lows, right? And what this does is it frames out the market so that I can see at the end of the day, everything moves in a big range, right? So now just looking at this, we're at the bottom of a range, right? So with that being said, we got our extreme high and our extreme low. Now what we do is we bring in our support and resistance levels. Again, we use Smart Trader. Smart Trader has smart technology that makes this markup process a lot more efficient for us. On Saturdays, we do a Saturday ritual with our inner circle members where we spend 3 hours, go through all of the currency pairs, mark everything up top down to take a look at what could be presenting itself for the upcoming week so that we're prepared for the week as it comes. Preparation is one of the biggest things in this space, so that you are not chasing the market, right? But you're allowing price action, you're allowing the market to come to you. So we do that on Saturdays so that we and our team, our members, our family have a good understanding of what we're looking for the upcoming week, and we're prepared, right? So monthly time frame, got those support resistance levels in. We'll turn these off. Now I want to look at this also from a Fibonacci perspective, right? I don't do this a lot, but when I do fresh markups, I like to see where each time frame is from a Fib perspective. Okay. So here on the monthly time frame, price, we can agree, has been moving down, right? We're in a downtrend. So we'll start a Fib from the top and we'll run our Fib down. So we see here, we got this is our AB boundary here. We got a 50% retracement, and price is making its way to the downside. The matching D extension is down here at 92,386. All right. So I'm going to mark this level out just so that I'm aware of it as I continue moving through the time frame to see if we have any confluence with this level. All right. So we're going to mark that out. We'll send our other levels to the lower time frame. We'll send this level also to the lower time frame. So now we'll go down to the weekly. We know we got a 50% retracement on the monthly time frame. And now we'll go down to the weekly. We'll put in our support and resistance and look at the fib there as well. All right. So here we are on the weekly time frame. Got our weekly levels in, right? Resistance levels and our support levels. Now I want to take a look at the weekly time frame also from a Fibonacci perspective. All right. Again, just to get a full view of where everything is and what the market is doing. All right. So come here. Now here on the weekly, you see we haven't gotten a 382, right? A 38.2% retracement. We haven't gotten that yet, right? Price gave us a triple, quadruple top scenario just above this 236 level and then started pressing down, right? So we made some all-time lows here at 103. And then we started to pull back, right? And we came back and we're retesting this previous support zone here, right? And price is just consolidating here in this zone. All right. So we know now on the weekly time frame, we got less than a 382, but we haven't gotten to the D extension just yet. All right. So we marked out this level here on the monthly time frame. This is our weekly D extension. So I want to put a zone here just so I know from a monthly and weekly perspective, this is a potential destination zone for price. All right. Potential destination zone for price. So I'm going to take my weekly levels down and then we'll drop down to the daily and do exactly the same thing. All right. Now, folks that are newer to trading, you want to make sure that you really understand how to identify your support resistance levels. You mark those out and you start to journal and develop a process that is consistent and has an edge, right? Consistency is the key, right? You got to have an edge. Obviously, you want to be able to win trades, but you also want to be consistent once you find that edge. And what we provide with the Inner Circle, we have a full training built out on the strategy that we use. We break it down. On all levels, from not knowing anything about trading all the way through the in-depth principles of the strategy and why we do it the way that we do. And the great thing about the strategy that we use is it can be implemented in any asset class, any time frame. Any type of trader can use the methodology that we teach. So if you want to join us in the Inner Circle with the Forex Trade Room, click the link below and come join the family. We'd love to have you. So we took those things down to our lower time frame. So we'll drop down to the daily now and we'll look at our support resistance levels like so. Change that red. And the colors that I use is just so that I can be organized. And as I'm on the go, I can pull up my charts just to see where everything is, and each level helps me to easily identify, right, what time frame it is, what time frame I'm closest to when it comes to support and resistance. All right, so here we are on the daily support resistance levels, and what you'll see here now is we had price really moving strong to the upside, and now we're trapped in this zone here, right? Top of the range, bottom of the range. And now we're trying to make our way back to the top of the range. Strong push to the upside here. Now what I want to do, there we are. Okay, support resistance levels. Strong push to the upside. Now we're ranging. We're pressing sideways here. All right. So now I want to look at things from a Fibonacci perspective again. Okay, so we know we have the 4 hour and the weekly D extensions mapped out down here. Okay. And we want to look at this daily from a Fibonacci perspective to see where things fall as well. All right, so we'll come all the way back to the top. Come all the way back to the extreme high here at 21, at 212. And we'll drop our fib down. So now let's see. Here we are. AB boundary. So we see here something to be aware of, right? As you're using Smart Trader, sometimes the fib doesn't map out when you have strong impulsive moves in the opposite direction, right? So here you see, right, we got a 23.6% retracement, price pushed down and got to the D extension here, right? But we didn't have a new fib to form, okay? So how you draw your fibs when you have to draw them manually is your C, right? You got your AB boundary, your A here, your B here, your C is the deepest point in between the AB boundary, right? So you got your A boundary. I mean, you got your A, you got your B. Your C is the deepest point in between the AB boundary. So your C is here. This is the deepest point, right? 143711. Deepest point in between the AB boundary. After that AB boundary formed, where did price push to the deepest point? And that's here. All right. So now we have our C identified. Okay. And that's where you start your next fib. So your C becomes your new A, and your D becomes your new B. Right. So your C is here, deepest point in between the AB boundary, and your D is the first swing low in this scenario after the D extension is achieved. Right. So your D extension was here. Right. Price hit that D extension there and then created a swing low. So this is the first swing low after that D extension level was achieved. So there is our new AB boundary. So as you're marking your fibs out, and whether you use TradingView or any other charting platform, you want to keep that in mind, right? Your A becomes your C becomes your new A, your D becomes your new B, right? So this is your new AB boundary here, right? And now we can look at the fib sequence from this level. Whoops. Take that out. There we go. Right. So now we're looking at the fib sequence from a new perspective. We got a 50% retracement. Price is ranging here. We have our 118, 127 zone right here. Right. And that falls in line with that daily and that weekly and that monthly D extension zone. Right. Just below that B boundary. Now, your matching extensions at 78,646, quite a ways away. But this level here is a strong one, right? Because we have our monthly and our weekly D extensions in the zone, okay? So now, great, we got a view of where things are from a broader perspective, right? This is our capital fib here. Price is moving, retracing, right? We're in a down retracement zone, and we're starting to consolidate here. Okay, so now that we know where price is from a fib perspective, I want to take a look at price from another perspective, and that's this last impulsive move to the upside, right? So I want to run my fib from the low to the high just to see what's happening here. Okay, so in doing that, we're able to zoom in a bit and look at these smaller waves to see here we are, AB boundary, right? Price is consolidating here. We push down that 382 is at 118.011. We had a wick here that pressed down. And that level is on the low 118.017. So just barely got to that 382 level there. Okay. So we're ranging to the side. We did get a 382 push here, right? But there's potential for price to press to the downside. All right. So ranging in this zone, we got to a 382, but we have the potential of price pushing down. Right. And that's going to be dependent on the strength of the dollar. Okay. We saw it last week from a fundamental perspective. We had the Bank of England come in and raise their key interest rates as expected. Right. So it met the market expectation. Then what you had on Friday is you had Deutsche Bank come out and say they have some concerns with their financial reporting from previous years. This is a statement that was also made by Credit Suisse, right, the week prior. So we want to keep that in mind to understand that we could be moving into a risk-off scenario because this banking crisis is starting to pick up steam now. And regardless of what the central banks have said, that this is not a perpetual issue, it is looking more like it's a perpetual issue, at least in the short term, right? So we could be in for the dollar to gain strength because we're moving into a risk-off environment, okay? Meaning, risk-off environment meaning that investors do not want to be risky with their money. They want to put it in safe places, safe havens that will potentially hold the value or not lose as much as it would if it was in your more risky assets, such as your stock market or your commodity currencies, right? So the dollar is used as a safe haven currency, and it's also used as a risk on, right, or a risky investment as well, right? It can play both sides. So in that, looking at the potential of moving into a risk-off environment, okay? So we got this range happening here on the daily time frame. We're going to take these daily levels down to our lower time frames now, and we'll look at this on the 4-hour time frame as well to see if we have any confluence on any of these levels, okay? But right now, my bias is bearish. We're ranging at the B boundary level, just barely got to a 382, and we're potentially moving more into a risk-off environment, and the dollar could gain some strength, okay? So now let's go to the 4. On the 4-hour time frame, I'll remove these support and resistance levels. I don't mark out support and resistance anything less than the daily time frame, just because these daily, weekly, and monthly levels tend to hold a lot stronger than any other. So on this 4-hour time frame, I want to look at price pressing to the upside. Now, Ryan, why is that when you've been looking at everything coming down so far? The reason being we had this nice deep retracement here, right? And when you get these deep retracements on the lower time frame or on the higher time frames, we got a 50% retracement on the daily. A lot of times you'll have the fib on the lower time frame taken out, right? So I'll demonstrate this for you. All right, so this is our last high. And so we'll run our fibs to the downside from here. Okay. Now you see price was making the ABCD waves to the downside. And then we got this nice deep reversal here. And price took out your A boundary, right? This was your last AB boundary to the downside. And there was the reversal. So price took out the A there. So when price takes out the A, what we do is we change the direction of the fib. And we run it from the bottom or the downside in this situation to the top. Right? So now here we are on the 4-hour time frame. And we saw on the daily, right? We barely got to a 382, right? And we're ranging in the B boundary zone. Here on the 4-hour, we have a shallow retracement. We haven't gotten to this 382 level yet. And we're ranging in this 118, 127 zone, right? So here on the 4-hour, we have a confirmed 80-20, right? So again, something to keep our minds on. We're at a high price, so we could be potentially moving down, at least in the short term, all right? At least in the short term. So what we want to see is price at least get to this 382 level. So our potential take profit level is here, right? Potential take profit level is here. Okay, so I'm going to mark that, and I'm going to take this down to my lower time frames as well, so I can keep my eyes on that. So here we are. Okay, price is ranging 118, 127 zone off of a shallow retracement. We have an 80-20. We see on the 4-hour price created a swing high here and turned over. Okay, so we could be in for a price moving to the downside, right? So that's where we are in the fib with an 80-20 scenario on the 4. All right, we come down to our 1-hour time frame. And on the 1-hour time frame, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to run that fib off the low to see where price lands. Okay. That's our extreme low point. Run the fibs to the upside. So here on the 1 hour, this has been a long extended move out. We got a 86% retracement here, right? Price tried pressing back up, but we haven't been able to break out to the upside, right? And this is that range that we saw in the higher time frames, okay? Right? We know we got an 80-20 scenario on the 4-hour time frame. We know that our D extension is here at this green dotted line at 117,675, still inside that A boundary, all right? So on the 1 hour time frame, we don't get a lot of confluence on what's happening here, okay? What I want to do is I want to drop down to the 15-minute time frame to see if we have any potential of price turning over, right? So when we come down to the 15, right, we come down to our most recent low, which is here, and we'll run our fibs to the upside. Bang. So we didn't have much information on the 1 hour time frame, but we do here on the 15. Shallow retracement. Price pushed into the 118 and 127 zone and has turned over and is pressing down to the downside. All right. Now, a couple things. If you run your trend line to the upside here, off of this 15-minute time frame, like so, you'll see that you also got a trend line break. All right. Trend line break tells you that the direction and the momentum of the market is starting to change. Right? And the goal of the trend line when you're drawing it is to get as close to the highest point as possible without cutting off any wicks or bodies. That's our highest point there. Okay. We had a little bit more room. We could draw an inner trend line there coming through that highest point, like so. Okay. So we got trend line breaks to the downside. Price has turned over, momentum is shifted, and price is pressing down now. Okay. So now we know trend line breaks. So I'm going to take these out. We know price is moving now to the downside on our lower time frames. So what I want to do is I want to look at price coming down because I didn't get this entry here. Okay. This moved down. So looking for a potential entry opportunity on the 15, I'm going to run the fibs to the downside here. And here's the opportunity, right? Here's the opportunity for an entry on this pound dollar. If we get price to push to the upside into our sweet spot, like so, right? We like price to come into a 618 or deeper retracement, 618, 786, 86 retracement. This is our sweet spot, right? If we get price to push into the zone, we'll have a high price to then take a short entry. And then we'll look for price to continue making its way down. Okay, so this is what I'm looking for here on the pound dollar is this high price to then be able to enter to get short. All right, so that's the full top-down analysis on the pound dollar. We'll continue to monitor to see how things go throughout the week, but that's what I'm looking for, ultimately leading us to price moving even further to the downside, potentially coming back to these daily support levels if we're able to break through some of these here and get to that 382 on the 4. All right. If you're looking for a community of people that supports each other and also challenges each other to become the next best version of ourselves, come join us in the inner circle, right? Be able to take advantage of our training, be able to show up live on our Zooms, get your charts analyzed by myself and my awesome partner, Benny Allen, get our feedback so that you can continue to make progress in this space to becoming a consistently profitable trader. We'd love to have you part of the family. Also, keep a lookout. We have some things coming for you guys in the future, man. Tons of changes happening, some new trainings, some new opportunities. So stay connected with us. Have an awesome day. We'll catch you next time. Peace.